This Friday night at 7:30 p.m., prepare for a very special event at the Jubilee Auditorium that showcases the true power of music to heal, unite, and make a tangible difference in our community. The Manitoba Band Association, in collaboration with CancerCare Manitoba Foundation, will proudly present a world premiere composition, Wave of Light, written by the renowned composer Peter Meechan. This powerful new work will be performed by the University of Manitoba Wind Ensemble and concert band led by Dr. Jacquie Dawson. Wave of Light launches a massive province-wide initiative that will be happening in May, where communities will perform the piece to raise critical awareness of cancer's impact on families and simultaneously raise funds for CancerCare Manitoba Foundation and the essential work they do. It is the perfect fusion of artistic excellence and community impact. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio, I am joined by Dr. Jacquie Dawson and composer of Wave of Light, Peter Meechan, and Executive Director of the Manitoba Band Association, Brent Johnson. Hello to you all. So great to have you here.
Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
So, Pete, I'm going to start the conversation out with you. Can you talk about the early stages of this? Why did you want to do this? And how did the collaboration with CancerCare Manitoba come about?
So this started actually with Jacquie a year and a half ago when the Louis Riel School Division put on an honor band for all their different students from lots of different schools, which Jacquie conducted. And the sort of theme of the concert was, or the hope from the concert was to raise money for CancerCare Manitoba Foundation. And they played a couple of my pieces that both have their sort of roots in friends' journeys with cancer. And whilst there, I met Sherelle from CancerCare Manitoba Foundation. And a few weeks later, she dropped me an email and said, hey, that was really quite a wonderful experience for everyone involved, joining music and the healing properties and the properties of hope that we all sort of need. So how can we maybe commission a piece of music that can help do that for other people and raise funds in Manitoba for the foundation? And at first I couldn't really see how we would do that, or if we did do it, how it would be a profitable thing for the amount of time and work and effort it would take. And so the beauty of Sherelle is that she's a dreamer, and so she kind of said, well, let's chat again. And so we chatted again, and I think then there was a third meeting. She wouldn't let it lie. She knew that if she just kept, I guess, poking enough, that I'd eventually come up with something. And sometimes in life, I think the best thing about being around dreamers is they make you sort of get rid of any notion of how do we do this and how do we afford this and how can this possibly happen? And you start with, what would the dream be? What would the ideal thing be? And the thing about music is, as we all know, is that it's such an impactful thing on lives of virtually everybody on earth, but also so is cancer. And so those two things come at a sort of real yin and yang thing. One is such a positive thing and one is such a terrible thing for people to have to deal with. And so I came up with the idea that I thought was probably going to be, met with a degree of, well, that sounds a little bit too big, of why not have a piece of music that everybody in Manitoba can take part in, whether that is as a performer, of a wind or brass or strings instrument or percussion instrument, or whether as a singer, or if we were going to go that far and understand that cancer affects everybody, why not be a piece that we can teach to everybody who was going to be there in the performance, so that I guess the ideal is that everybody within Manitoba could have a piece of music that they could take part in if they wanted to.
And one of the cool things about the piece is, it can be played by beginners or advanced players. There's optional choir parts. How did that composition process work? Like, how did you make the parts easy enough for beginners, but interesting enough for advanced players?
So this is one of those times where you come up with a great idea, but have absolutely no idea how you're going to actually do it. So The way I worked it out was through lots of sleepless nights and taking my dogs for long walks, trying to work out how we could do this. And what I sort of came up with was a sort of reverse engineering thing, which is to sort of write the piece and then sort of work out how I scale it back in different parts and different parts and different parts, but so that it still can be an authentic performance of the piece of music. So what I essentially did was write a piece in short score. So rather than writing for all the instruments, I wrote for maybe just piano, and that was kind of the basis of the piece. So I knew that this piano part could be played along with the beginners, which would give them some of the bits that I would call twinkly bits that are maybe a little bit beyond their experience levels at that point, and then maybe some people who has really had a couple of years playing instruments, and it's sort of, the piano does a little bit of help for them. And then when we get to sort of the high school version, which can be played by anybody who's a community member, a professional in high school, that actually they get to do all the twinkly bits. And so it's essentially the same piece, but what that means is that anyone who's playing a piece for the beginner version of it can join in with the more advanced versions as well, and vice versa. So it gives everybody a chance to enjoy music together, no matter what your level.
Perfect. Brent, I'm going to turn over to you. How did the NBA get involved in the project?
Well, Pete approached me with the idea. I was fortunate to be at that concert that Pete was talking about, the Louis Riel School Division Honor Band, about a year and a half ago. And I too was blown away by the sentiment in the room and that musical journey. And when he came to me with the idea, it immediately resonated, not only with me personally. I lost my father to cancer 8 years ago, but with the priorities of the Manitoba Band Association, which include making band accessible to everyone in our province and reaching Manitobans in all corners of Manitoba with band music. And this has turned into just a magical way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Pete, you and I did an interview back in February with Sherelle, and I was asking about the piece, and you're saying, it hadn't been composed yet. You said you were going to compose it during the summer. What was the composition process like? Like, I'm just thinking here about form. How did you come up with the melodies and build the piece that way?
Yeah, so this is one of the few pieces that I've written where the conceiving of the piece was maybe harder than the composing of the piece, because of the bits I just spoke about, where it had to be interchangeable for lots of different skill and ability levels, but also because we wanted the element where an audience could take part who maybe had never heard the piece before, and so it had to be taught. So there was a few considerations. So for instance, Wave of Light was the name of the project, and so just using the words Wave of Light meant that straight away no one had to learn words because we knew them, and making the melody a pretty simple to learn melody that's stepwise rather than any big leaps or anything like that. And then also the first time we hear the main chorus, if you like, it's sung to the sound of ah. So instead of having to sort of sing the words and learn the tune, and maybe if you can read the music, you don't have to, but any of those sorts of things, I wanted to take out a complication level each time, so you kind of have that first chance to sort of find where you're at and get your pitch correct before being able to belt it out with the words towards the end.
Jacquie, I'm going to turn it over to you. You've been friends with Pete for many years, and you've performed his music. What do you love about it?
I think it would be hard to pick any one thing. I think what I appreciate and love is like his compositional voice is very much based in like the colors and sonorities and the harmonic language he uses. I do enjoy it's interesting because although it's very simple, it's very hard sometimes. What might appear, the lines are moving slowly, or, it doesn't look at a glance like it's going to be that complicated, but it's very, very sophisticated. So it's the pacing, it's the harmonic language, like I said, it's the intonation.
Mhm.
Very, very difficult. So, I've played a lot of his music, ranging in levels and difficulty, and, it's not all slow music either. Although Pete has a reputation for having a lot of slow music, but it's not. We've performed a lot of different works with different, kinds of challenges and different, programmatic content and, really interesting, sonorities and instrumentation and voicings. So it's always a treat. Every piece has a different message. There's always real intent behind the music in terms of why it was written. And so it can range from astronomy to a message like this one to an homage to someone who has passed away, someone specifically. So there's a real range of historic or I guess if you will philanthropic kind of reasons for the music. So
Mhm.
yeah.
One of the things I love about Pete's music is it's super accessible and it's easy to listen to. It's just beautiful stuff. I know that there are some teaching materials that were created for the piece. I'm going to get all three of you to chime in on this one. Can you talk about the teaching materials? And apparently there's some reference recordings about the piece.
Yeah. So this project has continued to grow and grow since those first conversations happened with between Pete and CancerCare. And we're really fortunate to have really wonderful partnerships with both, with two of our universities here in Manitoba. Jacquie here, of course, from the University of Manitoba, Des Tell Faculty of Music. So not only are they premiering the piece, but they recorded it for educators and for Manitobans to be able to access. So there are beautiful recordings of all three leveled versions of the piece available at waveoflight.ca, along with and without the optional voice parts, although highly recommend them because they do add quite a lot to the music. And then Brandon University School of Music and Faculty of Education are developing classroom learning resources to support further learning as school programs delve into their engagement with Wave of Light as well.
Amazing. Okay, so the premiere of Wave of Light is happening this Friday, and then on October 30th, the piece is going to be performed out in Brandon by the Brandon University Symphonic Band. What happens next? Can the three of you talk about the larger project, about raising money, and what's going to happen in May?
Yeah, and why May, I think, is a question that might not be obvious to a lot of folks. In Manitoba, we are fortunate that our provincial government declares May to be Music Month every year. So this is a month where we recognize the importance of and celebrate the positive impact of music education across Manitoba. And we do live in a place where music education is very strong and well supported, and we've got a thriving community. And so we thought, let's aim for May as a month where there is lots of focus on music ed, and also for us to be able to shine a light on maybe a new way of collaborating. I think one of the really great things about Wave of Light, because it's so accessible, meant to engage musicians of all different levels, from beginner to advanced, means that in a school community, all of the musicians can take part in this. They can play the part that's appropriate for them. They all fit together. And many school communities will have a choir program in addition to a band program, but often they don't get to work together. So here's an opportunity for collaboration that doesn't exist too often. And beyond that, our partnership with CancerCare is a beautiful cross-sectoral collaboration that really demonstrates what we in the music ed world and in the music world know, the power of music to bring people together, to tell our stories, share and experience emotion together, and to do some good through all of that by also raising funds for CancerCare.
Pete, what's it been like working with CancerCare to sort of help raise money? We were talking about this before you arrived, this whole idea of that they're going to help with website design for donation and coin boxes. What has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see the infrastructure that they have in place that's being so easy for, I think, to speak for both of us, Brent, it's been great that we've been able to sit back and and just contribute what they needed in order to make their infrastructure work, because they're so brilliant at what they do. So there's all kinds of suggestions on the website as to how raising money can work, whether it's a donation at the door, whether it's via QR code. And there's all kinds of helpful tools on the website to keep you up to date and with what other people are doing in the province, which is cool, because I think one of the central aspects of this is that there's a lot of things that divide us in the world these days, or we're told to be divided by, but music and cancer don't. They unite us. And so the idea that, for me, in my sort of brain, this was just one giant provincial performance that might take place over a whole month, but it's something that we're all still doing together, no matter where you're from. And I think that's something that the website that CancerCare Manitoba Foundation have put together really does show us. It brings us all together.
Where can people go to find out more details? If there are band directors out there who want to take part in the Wave of Light project, where can they go to find out more details?
Go to waveoflight.ca. That's the landing page that lives on CancerCare Foundation platform, and that's where you'll be able to access those reference recordings and the teaching resources when they're available a little later this fall. There's a great FAQ there with ideas on how to implement this in your community. There's no one way of doing Wave of Light. Do what feels good and what fits within what you're already doing in your program. If you've got a concert happening this spring, make it part of your concert. And it doesn't have to be you're reinventing the wheel or a massive extra work project. And that's the beautiful thing about all the support and infrastructure that CancerCare has brought into this whole equation. It really does make it easy for educators and for community groups to take part.
Perfect.
I'd probably also add that as well as our partnerships, we've also been really beautifully supported by the Manitoba Arts Council and the Winnipeg Arts Council, who've contributed funds to allow this project to exist. And so this, it does two things. It's the joining of these two things that we both live with, but also is a huge advocacy piece for music and the power of music and music education, but also for why we need more and more support in the province in order to help folks through cancer, through finding new treatments and having first access to treatments. And so those things wouldn't happen without city and provincial partners and their support as well.
Jacquie, you're going to be premiering Wave of Light on Friday. I'm going to turn it over to you. Are there any other pieces that you want to plug on Friday night's concert? And I understand there's going to be a super duper tubist performing with you.
This concert will feature the University of Manitoba Concert Band as well as the Wind Ensemble. The concert band is a very large group of about 85 musicians, with musicians from across campus. I think there's something like 8 different faculties represented in that ensemble. There's quite a few community members and alumni, and certainly a range of folks from different walks of life and points in their musical journey. So it's a really special group that really come together every Tuesday night for the love of music. So they are featured in addition to the Wind Ensemble, which is primarily our music majors. And yes, we are featuring Pat Sheridan on tuba, who's in for the Manitoba Music Conference, the Tempo Conference that day. So we're featuring him on Rob Tehan's tuba concerto, Canadian film composer, and new to me, and a really interesting piece. We're doing 2 movements, and so and it is virtuosic tuba writing.
Yeah,
like it's virtuosic.
And who better to play it than that?
Yeah, it's going to be extraordinary. And then there is a surprise performance at the end of the program that's not even listed on the program, so I can't say anymore.
Right.
People just have to stay and hear. Maybe one other interesting one to mention on the Wind Ensemble program, one of my graduate students, Devin Sluice, will be conducting a very new piece by Gala Flagello, who's, I believe, working out of Michigan right now, a composer who's written a lot for orchestra and band and chamber music. And she is doing a lot of residencies and premieres all over North America right now. She's been with a lot of different orchestras. And we're playing her piece called Love and Nature, which was just written in 2024. It's a 3-movement work. Very, very interesting. So, and some really neat programmatic content in there. So that'll be conducted by Devin Sluice, and quite a range of material written by current living composers. In fact, I think all but 2 composers on the program are living composers. So we're big advocates, and it's going to be a great show.
Terrific. This has been really fun having you all here. I'm going to wrap up the conversation by asking, for each of you personally, what do you hope the Wave of Light project will accomplish, not only with musicians, but the community at large? And is this a one-time thing, or is this something that you could see happening next year and the year after? Pete, I'll start with you.
I'll start at the end. It can happen as many times as people want it to. There's never going to be a reason for less music or for less fundraising, especially for cancer treatments and research. What I hope to achieve, I don't know. I think for me, just the idea of service is at the heart of why this exists, that we can be of service to our communities through music. And I think this gives us the opportunity to do that. And if we can take that and harness it and create beautiful moments for people to celebrate the lives of people maybe we've lost, or the joy of being with people that had their own battles and survived, moments of quietness, and while we remember those that we've lost, and maybe smiles and gratitude for those that we lost but we're grateful to have had for as long as we did. All those kinds of things. You can never tell as a composer how anyone will hear a piece. You just do your best to sort of create a canvas where people can go and feel what they feel. So that's what I hope for as a composer with every piece, and this one is certainly no different.
Perfect. Brent, how about you?
Having had the opportunity to actually play through the piece when there was a reading at Brandon University a little over a month ago, it was very emotional for me. Someone who's lost a close family member to cancer, and I think we all know lots of folks who are affected by it, battling it right now. And the piece definitely is kind of a vehicle for all of those emotions. And I think what I'm really most looking forward to is all the different ways this is going to inspire people to come together around this common cause and around this common experience in ways that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Last but not least, Jacquie, how about you?
I think I echo the sentiments of both. I think I really believe in service through our music, and that as community members working in music, we have to see that broader picture and how it can be part of a healthy and vibrant society that is there for each other and that comes together and is not divided. And I think I see this both musically and otherwise bringing people together. The opportunity for audience, I love to see audiences engage in music making. Not everyone sees themselves on a stage, but maybe everyone can see themselves as a voice in the audience. And I think that's a way for everyone to feel that there's this inclusivity to it. And you don't have to own the expensive trumpet to make music. You can sing from your place in the audience and make a contribution to that beautiful moment. So I do love that. And I am really excited to see how, if I could allude to, so Pete has another piece that is very well known to the world, his Song for Hope. And, Song of Hope. Did I say the wrong thing?
It's called both.
Song of Hope. And it almost became, it's kind of internationally renowned, and it almost became an anthem. It has become an anthem. And I did a presentation at the International Society for Women Music on this piece, and interviewed Pete and did this presentation on that piece. And I see this as like kind of another version of that in a completely different scope that has landed itself in a position to affect broader communities and music education in a much broader way. And they both do in different ways, but I see it as kind of 2.0, another anthem. And I think its accessibility, it's going to be really exciting to see what it means for communities.
Marvelous. Pete, Jackie, and Brent, this has been really fun having you here and talking about the Wave of Light concert this Friday night at 7:30 at Jubilee Place. I hope the concert and the initiative is a massive success. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk to me today. It's been great.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
For our Vast 107 listeners, the Wave of Light concert with the University of Manitoba Wind Ensemble and Concert Band takes place this Friday night at 7:30 at Jubilee Place. For more details, visit mband.org/light or go to classic107.com. I've embedded a direct link to the show page and the article about the concert that you can find up there now. Thanks again.